Kia ora everybody, thanks for joining me on Outdoors with Sum. Today we're ranking frogs with special skills. Today's frogs and toads, because apparently toads aren't really that scientifically different from frogs anyway, are ones that perked my zoological interest for some reason. Maybe they're specially adapted to survive in their environment, or maybe they're physiologically wild, or maybe they just look really cool. For whatever reason, they wooed me. So today we'll be stacking these anarans in a simple tier list to see who is god frog and who is frog spawn. For additional fun, I asked y'all to suggest a frog for me to rank in this list as well, so make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I can confirm that this frog will be revealed today. If you're new here, the frogs and I would like to say welcome. Thank you for visiting the channel, and if you'd like to support me, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, do you have any flies? The tier list. In a general, is this a cool and successful animal sense? I will be ranking the frogs on, do they survive well in their environment? Do they have some kind of reproductive advantage that puts them above the other frogs? And do they have some element of personal charm? In a frog specific sense, do they have a good call? Do they have a good jump? Do they have a good defense mechanism? Or maybe they're a good hunter? And if they go above and beyond to serve their ecosystem, then that's another point there too. Also bonus points if they're naturally uncommon or rare or elusive, because biodiversity is the spice of life and these frogs are keeping it interesting. So we've got this is my final form. God frog. Fully evolved. These frogs are like, I'm so hot I was never even a tadpole. Next up we've got Kermit, because everybody loves him. There's just so much to like. He's like a god frog, but more humble. Next up we've got Poliwhirl the frog Pokemon, which is the middle evolution of Poliwag, the tadpole Pokemon, so it just made sense to have that one in the middle. Next we've got Neville's toad Trevor. He's a toad that's got one good thing going for him, that he's Neville Longbottom's toad, and that's about it. So frogs in this tier maybe have like one cool thing about them. And at the bottom we've got mucus flies and pond squalor. Needless to say, a pretty yuck frog. Okay, so first up we've got the gastric-brooding frog from Australia. Now that name gives us a bit of a clue as to what makes this frog special. So mother gastric-brooding frogs will swallow the fertilised eggs and actually incubate them in her stomach. She stops eating for about 6 weeks so that she doesn't produce any stomach acid and accidentally digest her babies. Now, this is the ultimate sacrifice in terms of motherhood. She's giving up food for 6 weeks. Just to keep her babies nice and close inside of her and carrying them around so that they're protected against any predators. That's a pretty good mum, and I'm going to give her a point for that. In saying that though, if disturbed, these frogs will actually vomit their tadpoles up as a defense mechanism, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose. Now they are extinct. There were 2 species of them and unfortunately they are extinct, so probably a little bit too specialised to have survived in today's modern world. Apparently the combined range of the 2 species of the gastric-brooding frog was only 2,000 square kilometres. Now that's not really a good survival tactic to be in such a tiny little range. I'm gonna go Trevor tier. They get that 1 point for reproductive strategy. Next up we have strawberry poison dart frogs from Central America. Look at this little strawberry guy. Little strawberry. Needless to say, I am charmed. Apparently they have 15 to 30 different colour morphs, just to be extra about it. And this particular morph that I've got a picture of here is called Blue Jeans. That's just too much. Okay, we've got a call here. Cute call. Adaptive qualities too. Apparently these ones can live in plantation forests, so well done. Defense points times 100. Not only are the adult frogs poisonous, but the baby taddies are too, and the mother will provide them with poison to defend themselves. Baby amphibians are usually out here with all the insecure attachment styles because many of them don't receive any parental care at all. But it's not just the mums that care for the little strawberry poison dart frog junior babies. The batty taddy daddies also parent. So after she lays the eggs, the dad will water them while they develop for about 10 or 12 days. Then the mother will transport them each to a specially chosen location where she'll visit them every day and bring them little unfertilised eggs to eat. A little packed lunch. It's about the closest you could get to a nuclear family in the amphibian world. Strawberry poison dart frog, this is your final form. Okay, next up we have the purple frog from India. Purple. Can confirm this frog is purple. Classic frog call. Points there. charm. Yes, because it's just so ugly that it's kind of cute. She's given pygmy hippo, but consider the niche, people. It's less of a pygmy hippo and more of a frog turned mole. This frog spends most of its time underneath the ground eating termites. Basically, it spends its whole life underground, and it only emerges for 2 weeks during the monsoon season to breed and produce more purple frogs. So they were only discovered quite recently, so elusive points there. Unfortunately, they are endangered, and being so specialised for this kind of environment, it's unclear whether they'll be able to adapt in the future to all of these changes that are happening in the world. I'm gonna go Kermit just because of that downfall being a little bit unadaptive, but keeping it humble. Next up we have the hairy frog, or horror frog, or wolverine frog. If you're wondering about the hairs, they have to do with parental care. They help the father to uptake more oxygen while he's sitting in water taking care of the eggs, so care points, I suppose. When it gets picked up or attacked by something, its defense is to break the bones in its toes, which forces the bones out through the frog's skin. It bursts through the skin and makes these little claws that it can use to attack. Now I know that other animals don't exist to make humans happy. Something in me fundamentally is afraid of this frog. So, sorry mate, you're going mucus flies and pond squalor. We have the striped rocket frog, which is a very nice little standard frog, just to keep our minds off of the wolverine frog. Look at this pointy little guy. Also, those legs look like they could pack in quite a powerful jump. Yes indeed, this is a good jumper. This frog can jump 2 meters. Which apparently is the equivalent of a human jumping almost 65 meters. What in the world? I'm gonna give him Trevor because he's got one good thing, and that's the good jump. News break, frog news of course. This is from August 21st, 2021. Researchers at the University of Kansas have discovered a new species of fanged frog living in the Philippines. It's nearly indistinguishable from a species that lived on a neighbouring island, except for its unique call and changes in its genome that make it a whole new species. What a sneaky little frog! The frog's fangs are likely used in combat for access to prime mating sites and to protect themselves from predators. Next up we have Archey's frog from New Zealand. We got some frogs. Yeah, we got some frogs in New Zealand. Yeah, we got some frogs. We got some pretty unique frogs actually. Our frogs have been around for about 200 million years, so they hatch out as miniature versions of their parent, and then they climb onto their dad's back and he carries them around for a few weeks while they develop. What a good dad. Now this frog doesn't even have a call, so he loses a point there. The main way that they communicate is through chemical signalling, which is very cool. Their main defense is their camouflage, which does make them look very cool. I'm very charmed by this frog. What a beautiful little pattern. But unfortunately camouflage is not a great defense against mammalian predators, which can just smell them out. I'm gonna put him in Poliwhirl, middle tier, because he's got some very cool points and a couple of points that brings him down the ranking there. Next up we have Wallace's flying frog. Oh, that is a nice frog. That is a stunning frog. I'm really enjoying those big webbed feet. Cute face to top it off. Charmed. Charmed. Elusive points, because this frog usually lives quite high up in the treetops. So they jump from the trees and they use their feet as like little parachutes. They can use them to glide. Not only that, but they can also use them to flap. So good jump and also flight abilities. That's above and beyond in terms of evolution. You know what, I think she's a top tier frog. I think this is my final form. Man, those feet are something else. Really cool frog. Next up is the grey, oh that's quite a mouthful, grey foam nest tree frog from Africa. It can actually change its colour to help it to regulate temperature, because it lives in very hot environments, and to help stop it from water loss, so it can actually live away from the water. So it can go from this grey whitish kind of colour to more of a bark colour. Now this frog's adaptable points are out the gate. Its natural habitats are subtropical or dry forest, dry savanna, moist savanna, subtropical or dry tropical shrubland, subtropical or tropical moist shrubland, subtropical or tropical dry lowland grassland, subtropical or tropical seasonally wet flooded lowland grassland, intermittent freshwater marshes, arable land, pasture land, rural gardens, urban areas, heavily degraded former forests, ponds, canals and ditches. So basically any kind of frog habitat this frog lives in. And that's probably thanks to its ability to be able to control the temperature of its body and the water loss. Also, girl boss grey foam has the most extreme example of polyandry in the vertebrate world. That means multiple husbands. She can have up to 12 male frogs that come to fertilise her eggs. I'm gonna go Kermit. It's just lacking something, some little X factor to push it over to this as my final form, but it's definitely getting there, so we're going Kermit. Next up we have the emei moustache toad. Moustache? Emei moustache toad from China. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at this guy. Look at his little moustache, and he's purple as well, and look at those galaxy pupils. What a dapper boy. So they'll use their moustaches to fight with other males for the best little rock cave. Then they get visited by a female who drops her eggs off, and he will stay behind and protect the eggs. So good dad points. However, the tadpoles take 3 to 5 years to develop into toads. That's a long time. Not a vulnerable species yet, but that kind of lifespan, if they lost all of their habitat, it would take them a long time to recover. I think I'm gonna go Trevor, because the moustache is a pretty cool adaptation, but there's not really much else going on. If you have trypophobia, I recommend you skip ahead, because this frog, I wasn't going to mention him, but it's just so outlandish. It does possess a skill that I do need to address. It is the common surinam toad from Central America, or the pipa pipa. Basically the mother hosts the eggs on her back. That's where they develop, underneath her skin. Yes. It's nightmarish, and it doesn't get any better from there. The toadlets emerge, popping out of tiny little holes on the back. I just can't really talk about it. I think you know where this toad is headed. Mucus pies and pond squalor, because that's absolutely revolting. Next up we have the cane toad from Central and South America. This one's special skill is being a baddie. Simply put, these toads basically run Australia now and have infiltrated 20 other countries as an invasive species. So he does get negative points for disrupting Australia's ecosystem. He doesn't contribute anything, in fact he takes away. Charm? No, he's pretty standard toad. Parenthood? No, they literally lay thousands of eggs that hatch into tadpoles, and they give them no care whatsoever, and apparently only 0.5% of those tadpoles will actually make it to adulthood, so not a good parent. Defense, yes. And this is the other reason why this toad is such a baddie. It's harboring a Schedule 9 drug, bufotenin, which is the poison that this toad emits, and it causes whatever's trying to eat the toad to go a little bit stir crazy. Put that into perspective, other Schedule 9 drugs include heroin and LSD. They also have very tough skin, and the only way to actually attack this toad successfully is to flip it over onto its back and get to the soft stomach. Apparently they'll eat small rodents, reptiles, other amphibians, birds, even bats, and a range of invertebrates. They can even eat plants, dog food, and household refuse, so basically trash. This will be the last amphibian left standing on Earth. $20 on it right now. So look, I know this toad has got some downfalls, but the survival ability is just above and beyond, so I think he's going God tier. This is my final form. Toads, welcome to the top tier. Just before I reveal the audience's request frog, I'd like to just do a little shout out to a conservation organisation that's helping frogs. Amphibians are one of the most threatened groups of animals in the world right now, and since the 1970s we've lost some 200 different species of frogs. Add into the mix a deadly skin fungus called chytrid fungus, which has killed and affected many hundreds of species of frogs. That means we're in trouble, and we could lose a lot of species very, very quickly. But if you live in Australia, I have a way for you to help some frogs. The Australian Museum's frogID is a really cool citizen science project that uses people's mobile phones and audio recordings of frogs to be able to figure out which species live where and how threatened they are. Recording and uploading these calls to this database will help conservationists and scientists to map out where different species live and what kind of threats they might be facing in the future. So it's a really, really cool way to get out into nature and to also help some frogs. You can find out more information about frogID in my description box. Now it's time to rank the audience's frog. I got some really cool suggestions, so thanks heaps for everyone for sending those in. I had to use a random number generator to choose one because they were all so good. And we got the crucifix toad, so thanks Ferns and Fantails for sending in this little guy, bringing him to my attention. Oh my goodness. Charm is gonna make me cry. He's also a very adaptable boy. He burrows into the ground during the dry season to to keep out of the heat, and he can actually survive under there for years waiting for the rains to come. Wow. Defense is aposematism, one of the only Australian frogs to do this. It also secretes a sticky like glue substance which is yuck to the predators. Plus he's a jack of all trades, a frog of all trades if you will. The glue is also used to stick himself to other female crucifix toads while they're mating. And also little bugs will get stuck in this glue so that when he sheds his skin, he can eat the skin and also the bugs, and that's kind of gross, I'm not gonna lie. So there's some gross aspects, but there's some really cute aspects about this toad. I'm gonna go Kermit. So here we've got our final ranking of the frogs and toads with special skills. Do you agree? Let me know down in the comments if you've got something to say about it, and if you know of any other cool species, please feel free to share. I'd love to hear more about them, and I had so much fun researching all of these. If you'd like to subscribe and support my channel, I'd really appreciate it, and if you like the video or share it with some of your frog fanatic friends, that would be awesome too. Okay, I'll see y'all next time. Bye! Hey, well done on reaching the end screen. Can I interest you in some more? We got giant snails, we got seals. What can I get you? Yes, excellent choice.